Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our webinar, Global E-commerce Out of the Box. I'm delighted that this is being jointly hosted by VTEX, Diginius, Avalara, and ChannelAdvisor. I'd just like to take you through our speakers and then I'll introduce them. We've got Tommaso Trevisan from VTEX. We've then got Nate Burke from Diginius. We've then got Colin Stansbury from Avalara and Francis O'Digimmi from ChannelAdvisor. If we can very quickly just do brief introductions, gents.
Okay, so I start. I'm Tommaso Trevisan, and I'm the channel manager from VTEX. So I manage the relationship between partners like ESV or agency system integrators, and I work for Western Europe. So Italy, Spain, Portugal, UK, and some other countries.
I'm Nate Burke. I'm the founder and CEO of Diginius. We're based in London, and we work with the digital marketing marketplaces and platforms to help e-commerce companies grow around the country and around the world.
Hey guys, I'm Colin, the tax guy. I'm an alliance manager at Avalara Europe, and we're a company that simplifies and automates the way that companies manage their indirect taxes all over the world.
Hi guys, I'm Francis here, a senior consultant at ChannelAdvisor. My role is to help brands and retailers leverage ChannelAdvisor technology in order to expand and optimize their commerce globally.
Fantastic, thank you all. And to open up, I'd like to ask Tommaso to start us off, please.
Okay, so let's start with today's agenda. Make a bit of context and then speak about some actions, and then we have some case studies of customers that with our e-commerce platform VTEX went global and without a hassle. So first thing first, what are we speaking about when we are talking about internationalizations, about globalization? We are speaking about increasing the involvement of enterprises in international markets. So this is a hard task to do. It's a long way. It's a process. It's a journey. It's not a result. It's not just an end of a marketing or business strategy, but it's just the beginning of an international journey. So during this presentation, we will just take care about all the steps that the company has to do, not just technological, but also of changing a mindset and so on. After we will see that, to be global, to be international with their digital businesses. So what does it mean, this internationalization challenge? Companies here to expand globally have to face different problems, different issues, from branding, from marketing, from legal aspects, and obviously technology issues that are maybe the easiest one for us in VTEX, but maybe the tough one for some other platforms. So the main thing here that we want to highlight is that many companies focus just on the last one, so just on the tech aspect, tax issues. But at the end, companies have to make a lot of actions, hidden ones, to grow, and it's a huge, long, and complex process that's involving us as a platform, Diginius as a system integrator, Avalara to manage taxes, and ChannelAdvisor to enforce the channel publishing. So the main 4 steps of the process that a company has to do, the main 4 actions are, first of all, understanding which are the best international markets to expand. Because, for example, if I'm a company UK one, and I don't have a team in other countries. I don't have a team speaking a local language. It may be, for example, easier to go on countries that speak English, but this is just one small aspect of a lot of other ones, cultural one, product ones, and so on. After we can have a deep dive on that. Another one, third point, is focusing on the marketing mix. So focusing on products that works in a specific market. Let me make a stupid example. I'm Italian, that's why my accent is not so good, but in Italian, we are famous for wine. What we are doing is actually selling cheap wine to Russian guys, just doubling the price because they don't understand the taste. So it's a marketing mix that really works on that market. If we send cheap wine to Russia and sell it as a cheap wine, nobody will buy that. We put the price that's 4 times higher than the Italian ones, and everybody is buying that just because of the price, not of the taste. So just focusing also on the product and on the market is very, very important. Another point, obviously, is the tech and marketing investments, because you cannot open just a new country inside your e-commerce platform without doing also marketing investments. And last one, for sure, but I think that Colin is the most adapted person to speak about it, is a matter also of business restructuring. So creating different legal entities when the business is growing, creating a local team, creating a local marketing team, and so on. So warehouses, logistics, and so on. So this is a global process at very high level. After, we can deep dive on each one of these points, starting from below, from the fourth one. But I want also to give to let Richard conduct this. So Richard, it's up to you.
Pressure's on, Richard.
Thank you, Tommaso. I'd just like to sort of bring all of this sort of theory into a more practical sort of level. So obviously looking to discuss growth, and, you know, to anyone in the panel, you know, can we actually discuss what the trends are sort of post-COVID? You know, what are the trends? Where do clients see growth? Which sectors are doing well and which sectors are not doing so well?
So before we start, I've got a little questionnaire for everybody here. So just shout out the answer and I'll tell you who gets closest. So from January of this year to now, the UK e-commerce growth has risen how many percent? Anyone?
I don't
shout.
Know.
40.
40? No.
60.
Francis?
80?
Tommaso, come on, give me something here.
It depends on the industry, but around 35.
200% in B2C e-commerce trade growth since the start of January. Yeah, Germany has risen 87%, France has risen 130%, and Italy has risen over 140% in terms of people switching their online trends. So that, for me, says everything we need to know about COVID and its impact on future consumer trends.
Is there a bit more insight in terms of which sectors are particularly doing well, Colin?
Oh, fancy that. I've got a book and I've written all of these down. So the big losers, right? And this will be unsurprising to most of you, have been car products, sports equipment, outside clothing, swag, jewelry, and formal wear. And you know, you're thinking about car products and sports equipment's been dropped by the high 80 percentile. Nobody wanted to play tennis in COVID. The big winners, on the other hand, again, these should all be unsurprising, are home fitness, home learning, online marketing, pharmacy delivery, kids distractions, and food delivery, et cetera, et cetera. So at most things that you'd be expecting to go to the supermarket for, well, you can't do it. So it's now about who's going to be able to scratch that itch.
Excellent. Thank you, Colin. We said we'd also look at sort of issues facing companies sort of holding back international growth. You touched on it, Tommaso, covering sort of multiple areas from sort of technology to legal issues. And we wanted to have a look at some of the pitfalls and mistakes that we regularly see companies making. Nate, do you want to talk a little bit about sort of the digital marketing side and what issues companies are facing?
Well, I think that the first thing is, how do you get growth? So if we're looking at, you know, how do you grow internationally, there's two main channels that companies grow. One is digital marketing. The second is marketplaces. I mean, marketplaces now account for what, 55% of all online sales. And the digital marketing side, when you go into, let's say if you're, you know, an American company or a British company, and you say, hey, we want to go into Europe. Well, you can go into Europe, but it's a fragmented market, different languages, different currencies, different deliveries. And so if you try to go in just a direct model, it can get complicated, because say you're going to Germany, France, Italy. Well, are you going to have different currencies? Are you going to, you know, Germans like to pay things on delivery or with a bank transfer. Are you going to translate all your pages? Are you going to do all the different logistics where you're going to put your products? So a direct model is very, there's a lot to figure out on your own website. You know, if you want to do Google Shopping in the different areas, and then you have to plug in each different country. So what we see often works better is a dual strategy of starting to enter in certain markets directly with digital marketing, where you then deliver, you have the relationship with the customer, you build a lot of retained value with the individual customers, but then also to move across the marketplaces all over the market. You know, there's, I think Francis can go into detail on what marketplaces, but there's hundreds of marketplaces, and you can move a lot quicker on the marketplaces to get exposure across all the markets. And then as sales start coming in from different markets, you can build your direct strategy off the back of that, instead of trying to build it on its own. That seems to be the quickest and most efficient way to expand.
Francis, Nate sort of touched on marketplaces there. Do you want to, that leads nicely into ChannelAdvisor.
So just to echo Nate's comments there, I think it really also depends on whether you are a brand or a retailer and where you are in your e-commerce journey. What you'll find is that for most brands where you might have had a traditional trade partnership with local stores, this COVID pandemic has forced you to sort of think about, okay, well, people are not going to stores, so what am I going to be doing? Am I going to try and invite those guys to my own website? Am I going to try and go onto marketplaces? For retailers, similarly, if you had a brick and mortar store, then you're thinking about, okay, well, that's sort of defunct over the last 4 months or so, and God forbid a second wave, but essentially you have to then start thinking about the future. So when it comes to talking about marketplaces, there is obviously a large opportunity. If you just look at Amazon, I think in the US, 2.5 billion monthly visitors. In the UK, it urges between 400 million, and 450 million unique visitors a month. So there's a large opportunity to attract customers. And really in this day and age, what to again echo Nate's thoughts were, look, you have to go and get those people to trust in you and buy your product. You can't just wait for them to turn up at your doorstep, like a brick and mortar store where they might walk past. So using the opportunity of marketplaces, you can where the trust has already been built from brands like Amazon and eBay and Cdiscount, Otto, whatever it may be. You have the ability to extend your reach very quickly in a low cost model. And again, probably the barriers to entry or the things that you might need to think about are technology and maybe to Colin's thoughts about the tax implications and business implications. But marketplaces offer a very quick and convenient way to attract new customers very, very quickly. And the advisable way to do it is have a plan for marketplaces so that you can understand, okay, well, there are over 200, 300 different marketplaces in Europe alone. And when you sort of think about your business, you can essentially pick, you know, the top 10, the top 20, and access millions of customers very quickly in a very short space of time. So the opportunity is out there to latch on to the trust that's already been built by these marketplaces, invite new customers, generate revenue, and obviously then, you know, start to expand your business that way.
You used a couple of descriptors there, Francis, so sort of low cost and convenience for sort of retailers. Talk to me a little bit about sort of risk as well, because presumably it's an opportunity to go international, it's an opportunity to achieve fast growth, but whilst minimizing risk, is that right?
Well, there's always risks, because let's take a simple marketplace. By joining that marketplace, you sign up to their terms and conditions, they own the customer, you know, you list your items, and you know, they purchase through that platform in order to make the sale. So you've got to pay a commission to those marketplaces. So it's not a free you know, service and a free way to get customers. But it is low cost versus maybe doing digital marketing on your own site and directing customers there. Increased competition, you know, you have to have a marketing budget. Whereas for some of your products, you might be able to list them on Amazon. They take a commission for that particular sale, and you're happy to nurture the relationship with those customers on that platform versus digital marketing. And I think what Nate would say is, or what most of us would say, is that you should have a strategy for a bit of both. In what mix, that is the question. Probably we'll answer some of that today, but it's understanding that you probably should have a marketplace strategy as well as your own digital marketing strategy for your own site. And I think it all comes down to you know, trust, and building that trust in your brand for customers to continue purchasing from you. And of course, once you're able to, you know, enter these markets, you know, at a low cost, paying a cost per acquisition to a marketplace, then you can sort of nurture your relationship with that customer going forward.
Wonderful. Thanks, Francis. I'd like to change the discussion just a little bit and maybe sort of focus a little bit on sort of delivery and platform. So coming back to you, Tommaso, what are the constraints of some of the platforms that are holding back international growth, and how do you recommend that your clients actually overcome them?
Okay, actually, it's a matter of technology mainly. So you have to use a platform that's enabled to manage multiple legal entities, multiple catalogs, multiple price lists, multiple 3PL, so third-party logistics for local ones, multiple payment gateways and payment methods for each local market, because these are very, very important things. And obviously you have to use a platform that helps you on managing different languages for the catalog and for your CMS pages. So these are all vital constraints to be global in with your digital market, so with your products on different countries.
Super. And give us a sense of, you know, how big is the tech effort, and, you know, obviously crucially in terms of timings, how long will it actually take for a company to go international?
Okay, well, this really depends on the company, the product, and not just the platform, but also the market. So let me give you a bit of some examples. So if I am a company with a small catalog and, for example, 50 products or 200 products, and I want to change that for each market, it's an easy thing. If I have a catalog with 15,000 products and I have to slightly change the catalog for each market, it will be much harder. Other thing is obviously the market you want to enter. For example, we have constraint in each market. So Europe is maybe the easiest one, even if we have a lot of languages, because after, if you wanted to go to the US, you have to deal with taxes. And Colin will speak about that after, I think. If you have to, and also in the US, you have to deal with ADA, that's American Disability Act. So you have to review your website with a lot of rules, a lot of front-end things that are important for that market. Or, for example, if you have to go to Russia, you have a problem with their sort of GDPR. So they want to have all the data of the customer inside the Russian borders. Or, for example, if you have to go to China, you have to be prepared to obviously link your website to all the main marketplace like AliExpress or payment gateways like Alipay, and you have to change your front end with QR code, with SMS for transactional informations. So you have to do a lot of more changes that are not needed for the Italian market. Also, you have to certify your website for China. You have to have all the data inside the Chinese server. You cannot do anymore the cross-border. So it's a long process. Or, for example, if you want to go to Korea, you have to use Kakao Pay. So you have to insert new payment gateway. You have to insert the Kakao login, that's like Facebook login. So each market has its own specific features that has to be implemented. But at the end, if you simplify the things, you can start, for example, from a unique country project that's 2 to 3 months, maybe 3 months, let's say that. You can, with VTEX, go online in another country in a matter of weeks. So from 1 week to 4 weeks, it depends on these issues that I already told. So it really depends, but it's shorter. Maybe it's like 15 to 20% or 10% for the smallest and easiest countries of the global time spent for releasing the first country. So for going live in the first market.
Time is key now, isn't it? It's about being able to identify a market where you have got some sort of availability and some sort of traction within, and then being able to utilize that quickly, right? I mean, that's kind of, to me, that seems like that's the future of globalization and global commerce, right? Once your current market becomes too saturated, how do I get into another one as quickly and as efficiently as possible?
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And yeah, you have to take care also always about these things. So marketing mix and marketing investments, because for example, going in UK for a company that has an English team and that uses some payment gateways that are present on a lot of European or world markets could be easy, but at the end, UK market, it's a hard market and you have to invest a lot in marketing. So it also depends a lot on the money the company has to invest on that specific country.
Super, wonderful. Thank you, Tommaso. I think in that first section, you sort of mentioned taxes, which is a good sort of lead in for Colin and the Avalara side as well. Colin, talk us through talk us through some of the different sort of tax thresholds in different markets, and how do retailers actually overcome these challenges?
So tax is the end of the e-commerce chain, right? It's the thing that nobody wants to think about, right? Especially with indirect tax, right? Indirect tax is a transactional tax that's put onto any transaction that's either crossing a border or doing an intra-community, right? So what we find here is that because of COVID and because of e-commerce as a whole, we're finding that every way that we were collecting and managing tax has gone out the window. So the EU has ripped up the rule book, COVID-19 has ripped up the rule book, and now organizations are looking at these transactional taxes, looking at the massive rise in e-commerce, like I spoke to at the very beginning of this webinar, and they're thinking there's a huge amount of money that we can collect there and use for public services, right? So what the EU has done, for example, is they're implementing their new ways of filing European-wide tax returns. For example, the distance selling threshold is going out the window next year in Europe. They're reducing and removing the 22 euro import exemption. That's gone. And they're also introducing something called marketplace facilitator laws, which will change the way that any and all businesses around the EU can actually manage their taxes. So I'll talk about the last one here very briefly, and then I think it'll tie in neatly to stuff that you guys are doing here. So marketplace facilitator laws effectively mean now that marketplaces, your Alibaba, your eBays, your Amazons, they are now held responsible for the management and filing of VAT of their sellers, right? So Germany is the first country, to introduce this at the moment. So now, if you're holding goods in a German FBA warehouse for Amazon, you have to have a VAT number. For next year, you're holding goods anywhere around Europe and selling on a marketplace, you have to have a VAT number. All of these measures are trying to reduce the VAT gap, which is the gap that between the amount of money that organizations think they should be getting versus the amount that they actually are. And that number is massive. I won't have you guess because this one blew me away, but it's 137 billion euros, right? That's a huge amount of number that can be spent on public services. It's already dropped down from 152 years ago. So we're seeing some sort of success, but that's only going to encourage taxing authorities to be able to come down even harder on the way that organizations around the world sell internationally.
Colin, a question on the Brexit and how that's going to be implemented. How will people be able to sell from, say, the UK into Germany or into France? Is that just going to be through this the European legislation, or is there going to be a lot of tax to consider?
Oh God, that is a naughty word, Brexit. I think we can all agree. But so what we know right now is that there's currently, when we leave on the 31st of December, it means that we're going to go back to favorable WTO rules, which means that we're going to leave this single market and then the common space, right? So the Common Custom Union. That means now that all goods that are crossing from the UK to the EU or from the EU to the UK will be subject to additional customs duties and import taxes that will be put onto each and every single transaction, right? So what that means now is that instead of goods flowing smoothly from Dover to Calais or into Southampton or Liverpool or the simple movement that we've had before, now all of a sudden there's a huge regulatory system that's popped on top of every transaction, which means that you're going to have delays, you're going to have increased returns. And what we're going to see here, right, at the moment is no retailers are thinking about this. So it means that as soon as it comes up to 2021, it means that companies' VAT numbers may need to be redone because we've left the VAT regime, haven't we? You might need to have fiscal rep attached to your VAT registrations, and it's just going to add a heck of a lot of complexity onto each and every single transaction that leaves or enters the United Kingdom. So, in other words, we're in a bit of trouble, Nate.
So in looking to build investments into expanding internationally, like say if you're a UK manufacturer brand and want to go global, yeah, I mean, you've got the tech, you've got the market, but from a tax perspective, is there too many unknowns? You said, oh, let's just wait till next year, or just go ahead and assume they'll figure it out by the time we get there? Or?
we've got to all assume that the conservative government here know what they're doing. Yes, I know, before we start giggling, we have to assume, right? Because we voted them into power. So we have to hope that for a few things. Number one, that they come up with very clear and definitive guidelines as to how trade between the UK and the EU is going to look in 2021. We need to understand the exact amount of customs duty, import taxes, and kind of checks that'll be put onto goods moving cross-border. And then finally, what we need to, and what I would recommend for any retailer or any business that's doing this amount of money into Europe and beyond, is to talk to your tax advisors, talk to Avalara here. You know, what we will be doing, and all we will be doing, is providing guidance to companies to making sure that they have an understanding, a basic concept of, here's the good, here's the point of sale, and how does it end up as a customer, right? You know, it's all those in betweens, including, you know, the actual logistics side of it all, and that movement of good to understand really, well, you know, how can we do it compliantly, how can we do it quickly, and how can we ensure that the customer experience is the best.
One more question I'd like to sort of put to the panel. I was talking this one through with Nate earlier, and we were talking about sort of how do you balance a growth strategy with the operational complexities of going international. Nate, do you want to give your comments, and maybe Francis could chip in on this one as well?
Yeah, because I think once you get through the marketing side, you do get into a lot of the technical complexities. So if you know, where are you going to hold your goods? Because the shipping everything out of one country gets very expensive pretty quickly, depending on the makeup of the goods and the logistics and all that. Some small parcels are okay, but a lot of the other products, in order to sell them, you need to move them into maybe regional warehouses that can efficiently deliver to those customers, as well as take the returns. And you know, even that, you get into a lot of kind of platform issues. And one of the reasons we work with VTEX quite a lot is, you know, if you're a normal retailer going in and open up, or brand opening 3 or 4 different warehouses or multi-warehousing, all this type of thing, can get very complex technically to set that up and run easily and so forth. And so you know, VTEX has the ability to run multi-warehouse very easily out of that. But that's one of the biggest, because as soon as you get the marketing figured out, then you just get ground up in operational and technical. This is our kind of experience.
We feel the same, and that's why we've worked with VTEX as well to develop a pre-built integration into all of our suite of determination, cross-border, and calculation tools. Because as you know, once you make the decision to go into a market, your platform has to be able to support, to be the foundation of every single decision that you and your customers make.
Yeah. And we find, I mean, VTEX has just been awarded the fastest growing enterprise SaaS platform globally. I think a lot of the work they've done for companies like Walmart and so forth in South America is the most complex market, because you've got you know, a lot of borders, a lot of languages, currencies, taxes, logistics issues, and so forth. And so, you know, moving into Europe is relatively simpler than some of those environments, but it's still a very complex environment, particularly if you go a high growth strategy and you really start moving a lot of sales. They need to be able to solve those problems very quickly in a lot of different markets.
Okay, after, if you want, I have some use cases to speak about, but I think that Francis have to answer to the same questions by Richard.
Yeah, are you there, Francis? I think we lost you for a moment.
Yeah.
The joy of doing a webinar via Zoom.
Exactly.
Do you want to chip in on that one, Francis? And so, sort of, how do you balance a growth strategy with the operational complexities of going international?
So yeah, I can definitely chime in here. Apologies because I didn't hear the ending comments of what Nate said. essentially, the whole point of ChannelAdvisor is to take away that complexity of having to understand each of those marketplaces or digital channels in order to extract performance from them. So I would argue whether you are a brand or retailer with 10 or 15 products, or a 1,000, 10,000 SKUs, it's all actually the same when you think about it. If you're putting your products onto 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 marketplaces, which all have different requirements, all may have different marketing programs, have different distribution programs like fulfillment by Amazon or fulfillment by Cdiscount, then it's going to get very complex very, very quickly. So what you want to try and do is help yourself by having either something that is robust and sits as a middleware that's going to help you execute on all of these marketplaces, or you're going to have a team that is capable of understanding the UK market, understanding the French market. And for some companies, that's going to be what they can do. For other companies, people are not going to be as scalable as a middleware. So it's just, when you're thinking about international markets and expanding and scaling, it's thinking about the tools and the people and the technologies that are going to be out there to help you scale as efficiently and as quickly as possible. And a second part to that is also understanding your own limitations as a business. It's all well that there are 170 marketplaces or 300 marketplaces that you might want to consider as part of your business, but it might be worth tackling 2 or 3, understanding how the workflow goes for your business. What component parts of your business are you using on a regular basis? What component parts are tripping you up? And understanding your process so that when you do then go on to another marketplace, you can go on to a marketplace quicker. You can go on to a marketplace without a level of investment that is going to break the bank. And you can extrapolate what you're doing in order to reach new markets, reach new people, and generate that revenue that is out there for your business.
Super, Francis, thank you. I think we've covered a lot of ground, and conscious that we've got quite a few questions to take as well. So if I may, a final thought from the moderator, a minute from each of you, please, gentlemen. Why is your particular field the most important to consider when it comes to international growth? So first to you, Colin, please.
Sure. So international growth is complex, and organizations around the world are looking to tax as the easiest and lowest hanging fruit of the tax tree to be able to plug lots of gaps created by overspending during COVID, right? The tax is politics, never forget, and it's always fluid. So every chance, every opportunity that you have to ensure that you are doing this correctly, please take the advantage of doing so, because my colleague describes tax as a rash, right? You wake up one day, it's very small, and you ignore it, but then all of a sudden one day you wake up and it's covering your entire body, and you are now having to go to the hospital, right? You can't take charge of that situation. But if you notice the rash at a very small size, a little bit of ointment will make everything better. So all I say is choose your battles and stay on top of the political changes.
Tommaso, presumably you've got a slightly different perspective.
The base, so we are the enablement for a technical growth of each market, from one to many markets. So the platform is very important, because without that, yeah, you can deal with taxes, but at the end you won't have a catalog to be sent to ChannelAdvisor to the marketplaces. You won't have a place where people can buy something and pay taxes on that. So we are, I think, the basis of the investment for a company that starts to grow internationally.
Brilliant. And Nate, why would you consider digital marketing to be the most important for international growth?
Well, so the combination of the digital marketing to get the customers wherever they find you, to come direct and have the direct relationship with the customers. and then also the data integration. So we work a lot on the strategy, implementation, and data integrations between whether it's the platform or the marketplace, to make sure the data flows and is efficient, so companies can scale.
Wonderful, thank you. And finally, Francis.
So ChannelAdvisor is an important part of sort of the ecosystem, and what our platform enables brands and retailers to do is scale first and foremost, and connect to all of those marketplace channels that matter, while giving them the ability to understand the requirements, understand their performance, and actually extract revenue from the sizable opportunities that marketplaces bring. Now, as a middleware, what we do very well is again connecting you to the likes of VTEX and Avalara, so that within your ecosystem of your business, you can actually go and attack the opportunity, rather than having to worry in silo about 2 or 3 different components of your digital business. You've got everything in one place, and that is what is important in order to save you time, and save you investing in costly pieces of apparatus throughout your business in order to extract the opportunity from marketplaces.
Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your inputs. I'm aware that we've got quite a few questions that are coming in, so please, in terms of the audience, do put your hand up and ask any questions that you'd like to ask the panelists, and we'll do our utmost over the next few minutes to take some of those. Time for a break. Have we, do you think that's about right in terms of timing?
We started at 12:12, so that's 30 minutes on the dot. And Russ is saying we can edit stuff out if we need to.
Yeah.
Now, Russ, would you recommend that we ask some of the questions that we prepared for ourselves here, or do you reckon that we should just get on in there, buddy?
I think it'd be good if we can do a couple of questions now, because then that at least sort of starts us off, doesn't it? It gives us a couple of questions and then we can actually open to the floor.
Well,
yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
if you want, I can speak about our use cases. So these case studies here, Motorola and Whirlpool, so if you want.
Yeah, sounds good, Tommaso. Yeah, shall I ask you a question? What's one of the key points? What would be a good question to sort of introduce it?
So examples of internationalizations, customers that did it, that already achieved the internationalization, the globalization with their e-commerce. So
yeah,
digital.
Okay. One question to Tommaso, please. Could you give us an example, talk us through a case study of one of your clients that's grown successfully internationally?
Sure. I have also some slides here. Let me open that. Sorry, jump quickly. So first one is Motorola. That's one of our biggest customers, and they actually have e-commerce, so digital presence in 39 countries. So it's a huge integration project, implementation project with so far 14 countries live, and we are growing. So it's Motorola is a quite complex project and company, and we are going live like 1 month for each country. So at the end, it's quite fast because we have to enable also not just the digital presence, but also all the local integration we have to manage with all the small companies that are part of Motorola. So it's obviously a native multi-currency and multi-language and multi-region, so what we call trade policies. And it's a nice process, it's proceeding smoothly, and Motorola is very happy, and we are happy too, because we are growing with them, actually. Another use case that can be interesting is Whirlpool. So it's also a multinational brand, well-known one, and it's operating in 6 countries so far. And we did a super quick first integration. So the whole process for the first go live of the first country just was 76 days, with also an SAP integration, so a quite complex environment to be integrated. So now we have to manage 14 stores with different brands live, and we did everything in 5 months. So it's quite a nice achievement. So we are very happy about that. So 14 in 6 countries means that we have 14 small brands by Whirlpool, like as you see here, KitchenAid, managed in 6 countries. So it's a nice project, and we are happy about that.
Cool. Well done, Tommaso.
So I assume on those, the companies would be doing a lot of direct marketing. Like another example of a type of way to expand. We're working with a London fashion brand that manufactures all their products in the UK, and they're looking at how do they go global. And they've gone with a ChannelAdvisor marketplace strategy to launch into as many marketplaces as they can. And then once they see their international presence, then they'll look at the platform side and what adjustments to make on their website. But they're not making, but they're able to reach a lot of markets that way quickly, as opposed to a lot of investment in the platform. So you can have different strategies for different sizes of companies and investment budgets.
And to echo what Nate's saying as well, is that one of the decisions for our partnership with Diginius was because we're able to, as a middleware, connect existing systems to help you scale. Sort of not the other way around. You don't, invest in ChannelAdvisor in order to, elongate your process. What we're there to do is simplify the process of getting to and connecting to a number of marketplaces, and take that energy and time management that is wasted in understanding and building new data sets and building a new a new fulfillment requirement system in order to connect the pieces that you already have to streamline that process.
Yeah, and like Francis said, we connect to ChannelAdvisor. We also connect to VTEX. So companies that need to move quickly now, we can enable them to move very quickly, because we've built the data integrations to allow speed in deploying internationalization of e-commerce operations quickly.
And that's what I invited Avalara along to speak here as well, because we're a technology company that does tax. And what that means is we've built over 700 different ERP, e-commerce, CRM integrations, including the VTEX, which again, in a matter of plug and play, to allow customers and clients to be able to have a clear aim at a growth market and be able to sell compliantly within that space. And alongside building the platform, getting the marketing, find the clients, being able to understand how to work those multiple channels and marketplaces. Taxes at the cherry on top right there to ensure that your business and indeed your employees can focus on driving value adding activities, as opposed to having to think about something which can only be done right or wrong, and using technology to plug that skills and knowledge gap.
Yeah, and that's the problem the world is in right now. You have rapid and likely permanent shift in consumer behavior to buy online, and e-commerce is now at the top of the agenda. And if you haven't built the integrations, built the technology, built the infrastructure, to be able to build quick infrastructure that's enterprise grade, it's very tough. And so companies like VTEX and ChannelAdvisor and so forth that have already built that and have the ability to rapidly move into different areas. And you know, if a lot of the platforms you've got to go build from scratch, they give you the hardware, but you got to build it. Whereas companies like VTEX, it's all configurable, so you can use the same software that Walmart uses, that Disney uses, that Motorola uses, and just configure it to how you need it to run your business.
And to echo that fact as well, in terms of these platforms, and especially with ChannelAdvisor, it's the same platform that, you know, global brands that, you know, you could name that ChannelAdvisor works with, to, you know, small SMBs. It's the same software, and we invest in the software to enable them to scale. So again, to echo Nate again, as I'm usually doing, is to effectively make sure that when you go onto a platform, or when you go onto a channel specifically, that you have all the tools at your disposal to take heed of that opportunity. Not just listing items in a haphazard fashion in order to try and get gains, but to give you the head start in getting there and saving you some time.
Sounds to me, guys, like we're all speaking themes of agility and versatility. Is that for, it definitely is for Avalara, our ability to connect to anybody and to be able to match any international market. You know, that's why we're successful. But do you guys think that there are other more important themes to international growth than flexibility and agility?
I'd also say competition. Competition is only getting, you know, it's only increasing. I think there was a stat on just on Amazon that the competition, or the people that enter the market is at a rate of around 200 to 300% year on year. So as you build your brand, or as you're a retailer, it's only going to become more difficult to you know, keep up. You know, 10 years ago, if you listed your items on Amazon, you probably wouldn't have to use sponsored products or you know, fulfillment by Amazon in order for people to, you know, be attracted to what they're going to buy. But now Amazon has a advertising platform that's, you know, rivals Google and Facebook. So also with you know, the way that the world works, you know, we're getting more global. So, you know, people from Germany, France, Italy, Spain are also selling in the UK, and they're selling the same type of items as maybe your brand. And now it's not even getting onto these platforms. It's what is the key differentiator for you for somebody to buy your item versus, you know, one from China, one from Germany, one from Australia. Because with the internet and the way e-commerce works, we can do that.
Which makes efficiency quite important. If you have manual and time-consuming processes for something that somebody else has automated, then you're going to have it's difficult to compete because it's too expensive. And then also, if you're not 99% correct in all your operations, you know, Amazon will shut you down.
That's also kind of interesting, you know, with COVID happening here, right? I think that we're going to experience something, you know, we like to call the death of the manual process, right? So it means now that businesses are looking at their CapEx and their OpEx spending, CapEx and OpEx spending, and they're identifying activities within their employees that are not driving value. And I think that they're going to be looking to make sure that everybody on the payroll is doing something that's productive and that's quantifiably moving the needle forward to making the business more profitable and efficient. And, you know, being able to understand taxes obviously is the biggest form that I could think of, but also, you know, all of us here on this call utilizing specific technologies and platforms to be able to constantly ensure that there's a quantifiable, measurable degree.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on all companies moving forward now. You're seeing the average company lay off 20%, 30% of the people. huge financial pressures. And then, the thing about growth and international and tax is that the governments can retrospectively look at what you did. So it's not a matter of, oh, I start collecting tax now and I'm fine. It's no, they can come back and say, hey, you didn't collect tax 3 years ago. You've got now 640,000 euro tax bill. And you can't really get out of those bills. You can't, it's, we've had clients that haven't collected correctly in different jurisdictions, and they're now Avalara customers. Very loyal customers. So, because that's one, you don't want to fight with the government. It never ends well. You need to just comply and make sure, the compliance doesn't take a lot of time, and then all your marketing and all your work you put in isn't going to get a big bill in a couple of years.
So exactly, and I would say that compliance is a huge topic as well. Not just for the tax implications, but just if you're going to do marketplaces, then you have to adhere to some terms and conditions. And the quickest way to burn a revenue bridge is to be uncompliant on Amazon or eBay, and then they throw you off the platform, and that's a huge chunk of change that you might be missing to your business. Where if you had shipped an order correctly, or if you had listed an item as it was supposed to be listed, you might not have that issue. So it is also looking at ways that you can help yourself to maintain compliance on all of the digital channels that you're on.
Yeah, and that's one reason why you also want to have a strong digital marketing strategy and direct customers, because if they're transacting on your platform, your marketing, you can communicate, you can send them emails, you can market to them. And if there's an order that's 2 days late for whatever reason, you just pick up the phone and say, hey, sorry, I'll give it to you in 2 days. Is that okay? And generally customers are fine with that as long as you communicate. Whereas Amazon doesn't communicate, they penalize. And because you're messing with Amazon's reputation. The platforms can be almost like a crack cocaine kind of, once you get a few million in revenue coming through, and all you do is service the platform. And if you forget your own direct marketing side and you have an issue with the platform and your cash flow stops, but your bills don't, then that's another kind of serious problem that some companies get into. So a dual strategy of direct customers and marketing and direct fulfillment with marketplaces is a much safer and also value added. I mean, if you ever want to sell your company, the buyers will traditionally value direct customers a lot higher as a percentage of the valuation than marketplace revenue.
It seems to me like everything's getting more complicated and more complex out there. It seems like it was on a trend post-COVID and now pre-COVID and now post-COVID. All of a sudden, we're having to wear face masks while going outside to the shops, and now the amount of compliance, especially on my side, is increasing massively. I mean, Nate, are you finding that the entering and being able to market into different regions is becoming more complex?
All the time. The competition, with the e-commerce growth this much, then the focus on competition gets a lot stronger. So the price per clicks go up. The ad space is finite. The search space is finite. So and as shopping is less pleasurable in the stores, it's more of a utilitarian experience. So it's not that fun to go. You can't try on clothes. You got to wear a face mask. You got to wait in line. Nervous. As the move goes online and people have have less money to spend, and people are worried. And so anytime you get into and we're facing a deflation. A recession, so people are more cautious with their money. So it's the competition is only going to increase, and as more and more companies invest in their e-commerce, then the e-commerce space, while it's also bigger, the fights will get tougher. So it's a challenging. It'll be a challenging market, a lot of high potential market, but challenging.
We've got another question that's just come in about sort of internationalization models, sort of franchisee versus centralized HQs versus local teams. Tommaso, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, so nice question. Bit complex to be answered in a couple of minutes, but yeah, for sure, you have to find a platform that helps you to do, first of all, what we call distributed order management. So we have to use a platform that helps all our customers not just to sell online, but to link in an internal marketplace or in a franchisee or other models, the brick and mortars and the digital shops. So for two reasons mainly. So first of all, you can have a bigger catalog than your own catalog if you do an internal marketplace. Second thing, enabling franchisee or other brick and mortar stores or your brick and mortar stores with your digital e-commerce, you can have a lot of a bigger catalog, more stocks, and you can deliver things quickly. So you can do endless size, you can do pickup in store, you can do ship from store. So it's not just a matter of product, but it's also a matter of service, and the service is the most important thing so far. So if you want to reach a different market quickly and you already have a distributor, a franchisee or something like that, go with them, and you can leverage through our platform, giving them simply a backend to be managed by them, and you will be easily in a different market with this collaborative commerce model. So we see that the future is collaborative commerce in this way. So internal marketplace or different merchants that work with the same brand or similar brands and create not just an output, as Francis said, to other different marketplaces, but create a different specific marketplace for a single industry or brand or something. So it's a good way to scale with these different models if you have an enabling technology like VTEX.
Oh.
Sounds good, Tommaso. Yeah, we've done pretty much an hour, I think, haven't we?
Yeah, I think time is out. Let me show just for the end, the last slide after. I hope that you can mount that because it's important. We have all our contacts here. So if you want, close everything here, Richard, as you want.
Yeah, okay. Super. We need to wrap up, gentlemen. I'd like to thank all of our panelists for a really engaging discussion. Thank you, everybody, for taking part and for all some really good and interesting questions that we've had to cover at the end. So to Tommaso, to Colin, to Francis, and to Nate, many thanks for your time, and look forward to speaking to you again in the future.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys, and hope it was interesting. Thanks, Richard. Bye.